Hi, this is Real Men Unscripted with D&D, Derek and Domingo. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
Hey, welcome back to Real Men Unscripted. I'm Derek.
I'm Domingo. Welcome back. Hope you had a good week.
And this is part 2 with Luis Cruz. And so in the first episode, if you watched it, he was telling us he's prior military, Army, and he's retired firefighter, which I tell everyone they should be a firefighter over police because they get to eat on the job, work out, and all that good stuff. So, so now you're retired, but do you work any part-time, or you make enough money like Domingo you don't have to work?
No, he actually makes more than me. He's a deputy chief.
I stayed with the state. The state, I was what they call, like, they bring contractors in who've done well with exams to help formulate promotional exams. So that's like on a, basically, throughout the year, I go down there a few weeks at a time. So that job keeps me kind of relevant in the fire service. And honestly, with this time after retirement, like I really wanted to kind of, I wanted to be on my own time. I wanted to just enjoy and know what it is to own my own time.
Sure.
And me and the wifey, we decided to sell our main home and move into an investment home we had to downsize into an apartment with the idea of being able to buy an RV and travel the country for the next year or so until we find a place that we want to actually start all over again, or this is where we're going to want to be at.
So have you been through Tennessee yet?
I've been through Tennessee. I haven't stopped at Tennessee yet.
All right, you got to be on the east side near Gray, it's called Gray or Johnson City. You got to go through there.
He's thinking more South Carolina.
Well, you know what?
Carolina.
Well, the Tennessee area is real. I mean, first of all, Tennessee's got some good things. I'm a fan of Tennessee for one big reason too. They're really big on right now. There's a big movement happening in Tennessee and Nashville area with regarding Bitcoin. I don't know if you are familiar with that conversation.
No, but we have a guy coming over to our house to talk to us about that. Or something.
Dude, this guy's a master at that, bro.
Really? Okay, well, we're talking later anyhow, so, yeah.
But I say that is because Nashville is definitely, their regulations, they really are. There's a big movement happening in that area for that. And
okay.
So, and, I mean, honestly, for retire-wise, Tennessee offers a lot of good benefits to move there.
I'm trying to pick states like Nevada that don't tax your retirement.
Right, and state taxes and
so to save money. But
well, dude, Tennessee has guys that retire from my department. That's one of the states that they're going to. If you go there, you probably might run into one of them. That's why I want to stay away from Tennessee.
That's my goal, is to eventually end up there.
Tennessee?
But, yeah.
I think it's a great state. I was looking at this one area that they basically are selling off land off this Buffalo River for people who are RVers.
In Tennessee?
It's in Tennessee. It runs alongside Kentucky there, lake. But I thought was cool with Tennessee is that, when we're looking at this place, they're trying to plot more people to live there. And what I found out, what they've done in the past was first invite people with RVs to set up with the ambitions to eventually build, and then build this area up.
So do you actually, because my wife and I want to maybe do the RV thing, but is it like a truck trailer, or is it like a RV?
It's a motor coach. It's one unit,
motor coach.
And I pull my my vehicle.
Okay.
So
it's a Class C.
Yeah, but it's not the bigger ones. It's only a 30 footer, and I pull my vehicle. If you do that, we want to consider them numbers to be in your favor, because the longer they are, the less is your choice of certain state parks.
Yes.
And certain places.
National parks.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're working part-time, getting other people hired for tests, things like that, and more traveling.
It's more formulating exams and then scoring the exams.
Oh, okay.
Like basically they bring you in to
Is
help.
this for people just trying to get in, or promoting?
It's it's not the entry level. It's all promotion.
Okay.
Guys want to be captains, deputy chiefs, battalions, or chief departments. So once they take you, if you hit 3 of the ranks, then they try to use those, because then you're able to help with all the ranks.
Okay, this next question's pretty
loaded,
pretty tough.
It's loaded.
Who's better, a firefighter or a police officer?
All right. This
You
is
got two police officers here, just saying.
This is the truth, man. Like I've always told us the firemen to understand this, because I got in that field we work hand in hand, like it or not, right? We some places, but I always felt bad with. I think police officers, honestly, they give them way too much what they need. I think that what they're asking police officers to do is way too much. Meaning, like, how do you go from being an aggressive police officer, but also take care of people who are the variety of what kind of people you will deal with. It's too wide for one person to teach in 6 months of an academy to go out there and then and basically protect people's rights and make decisions. So what kills me about the fire and police, the problem, I've told them this, I'm like. And I would explain this to people when they would talk, bad about police. I'm like, you know what? You got to remember, like, as a firefighter, we have that chance of feeling the somebody needs our help. We get there, we help them, right? I mean, yeah, it's a bad situation. We help them. We feel some relief. The fire goes out. The problem's solved. On to the next job. We get to go eat and laugh and joke. And police officers, like you can go to a call over and over again. You can go to the same person over again. Like you could start feeling a little like, what am I doing? If, feeling like you're not really getting anywhere further. So I would explain to guys like imagine going to work every day, and you see a fire and you start putting out the fire, and you leave that next, and you come back next morning and that building's back on fire. And you're putting that. I said after a while you lose a little hope in the sense of like you kind of lose like a little motivation on it. So. And I just think they don't get enough training. Like, it don't make sense to me with police officers that after some little time in the academy, every state's a little different. Yeah. You put these people through high school diplomas, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so I don't think.
Now you can be illegal.
You can
some states.
Some of these ones they're gonna hire illegals to.
Well, and now, did you read that the Navy and the Army you don't even have to have a high school diploma now?
Yeah, Navy I think is
Army. They opened it up where if you pass a certain score, you can get on. Which I'm not knocking that, but the sense of like, apparently there's a need there. But the police, the military has always been a good source of getting in those fields, in those jobs.
But this is the good thing with firefighters. You're always loved. Yep. You could arrest a guy for arson, and he'll still like you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, a little bit during the BLM stuff, they were kind of hating on firefighters, but for the most part, they always love firefighters. Cops, they're either hated or loved. No really in between.
Yeah, it's
whether
tough.
they know you or not, you're either racist or you're hated or whatever.
It's really not. It's a tough job, police.
But I tell everyone that comes to me that wants to do police to do fire.
I know.
Because just for a lot of those reasons that you said and the things that I've seen in the last 5. When I first got in, I wouldn't have said that. I would tell everyone go police. My first probably 18 years, but my last 10 now, I would say maybe become a marshal and work at a courthouse, but to be out there every day dealing with these people.
What do you mean, you people?
It's a tough thing. And I know what I say about that too. My buddy of mine, I got fortunate. Like when we came out, we had combat time. And combat time puts you in Jersey. Here is it well that you go to the top of any list?
No. They just give you points on your test.
All right, so
a lot of times it's 5%, 5% added to what your final score is.
Well, in New Jersey, you are bing to the top. You just got past the minimum score, and you are the top they're snatching up. And
nice.
Which is nice and motivating, right? So I was fortunate to take both exams, police and fire, and they both hired me, and I had to make a decision. So I went to a friend who gave me that same advice. He goes, listen. He goes, he goes, let me teach you real quick. And he was on a few years. He's like, let me break down the differences. He goes, first of all, that schedule is unbelievable. Like he talked about it, but forget the schedule. He's like, police officers, right? He goes like, you have to work your the only guys you worry about. You have your own guys. Police give the little blue protection of your own guys. He's like, other than that, you gotta worry about your supervisors banging you up, the civilians banging you up. You know, IA getting you in trouble and losing your job going to jail. You know, like the criminals. He goes like, you arrest them as well as you're in the areas, and you find yourself, you could be with your family one day and find yourself in that position. He was like, so you feel like, and he goes, everybody hates you. Nobody happy to see you when you roll up unless you're a victim, you know?
Right.
He was like, firemen, he's like, they love you. You can do no wrong. He goes, like, they give you a great schedule. There's no problem. You could go hang out at the bars. You can hang out with any criminal you want. He goes, you will know. He goes, and I'm like, well, yeah, most of my friends are probably criminals you chased, you know? But so when he told me that, I'm like, wow, man. But of course I thought, how many fires could you get? You know, I'm thinking, you know, because, you know, if you don't do the job, you don't realize there's any fires. Like, you know, if I ask you guys, but once you're on the job, you realize, wow, there's a lot of fires that happen that nobody knows about. So
Right.
I was thinking the schedule. I'm going, they don't really get fires. I don't see none. I don't hear them. Then I got the job, and I'm like, my goodness, Patterson happens to be one of the busiest
in the country.
in the
right?
country. It's fight fires, and I had no clue of that, you know. So
It's like I told my
you
son.
would believe that firefighters are better, right?
Oh yeah.
I would lean in the sense of, if they asked me job wise, I would say, yo, go fire. Here's a good status for you. We had more cops become firemen, or they were cops, change over, and I only seen one person go over.
Yeah.
And we had like I'm talking about tens and like in the 20s of guys who came over who did a couple years
So
of
see,
police.
over there it's allowed. They don't allow that here.
Oh, I
you
didn't
can't
know
go
that.
from like Patterson PD to Patterson FD. You can't go from like Las Vegas Metro to Clark County Fire.
So how's the divorce rate though in the fire field? Because
99%. He's the 1% that's not.
police, it's pretty tough.
I think those jobs, you know, I don't think they talk about that enough, man. His son is in the process of it, and you know, I wanted to talk to him. Like, the problem with those jobs, they bring you into a family, right? And then you have to navigate two families, you know, and somebody gets slighted, you know, in that process. So it's easily, and especially with, you know, when you're working with other guys like-minded, and you know, you get, you know, you put good work out, and you know, you feel the benefits of it. And home, you know, you're not as great. You know, like, you know, there's some flaws and you get picked out at. But I always found that I watch a lot of guys go through divorce on the job. But in my own experience, I think sometimes we get too wrapped up in the job so much, and it makes so important to us that you lose sight that you came here for this reason, you know.
But you have so much off time. That's why I don't understand why I would think there would be less divorce, because you're with your family more than we are.
No, the difference here, like, you
Or
know,
are they working overtime on those 3 days off and
well,
just
everybody, when I got the job, everybody worked. Most guys who worked fire department had another business or a job that they did, you know, because the schedule allowed it. So most
that's
guys,
where they're getting in trouble.
guys, the 3 day, actually guys they would look at their time at work, they'd be happy to come to work, because they would like, I don't want, the other thing is work. This is more, I love being here. Yeah. So that's how I felt in that sense of it.
Have you ever delivered a baby on a job?
I have not, but I've seen it delivered. Like somebody delivering it, but it wasn't me.
You ran the other way, or
Nope.
you
Nope.
assisted, or
And I didn't throw up on this one either.
did you assist or anything, or you
Nah,
just stood there and watched?
I just looked
So
at it.
was your partner, or
Yeah, my partner did.
and
Well,
you
actually, he
didn't
wasn't my partner. He was on our squad, but he wasn't my partner. He
Oh,
was kind of
okay.
like, just watched the baby come out, and then thank God there was a nurse nearby, and she did the whole snip and tie or whatever the thing is. I wouldn't have known to do that.
Oh, okay. So Cruz, what about you? I've never delivered a baby. I always thought that'd be kind
I
of
thought
cool.
you delivered your own
Yeah.
in your
no,
living room in a
no,
pool.
No. I mean, it'd be kind of cool, I think, you know, because that's like a hero, man. If you can make
Yeah.
it through that and do it right and all that. But have you ever had to deliver a baby?
I personally haven't, but I was on a good story about a baby being delivered was, I mean, it happened. It would happen a lot because we said we cover ambulance. So
Sure.
a lot of times it happens at the house, you know, in the route. But this one particular time was funny because ambulance service, the guys was actually driving to a call with the lady who had the ambulance, and he got into a car accident, flipped the ambulance, you know, and at that point the baby was coming, you know.
They flipped and they were all able to still deliver
Still
the baby?
maintained. They made it work with the bedding, got her there, and were able to deliver this baby. And it took us. I mean, it was a crack. They got T-boned on a bridge.
Wow.
So it looked at worse. I mean, of course, you pull up, you see that, you see ambulance flipped over. We pull up.
Now this was like a civilian ambulance, or it was a
No, it was
firefighter
a firefighter ambulance.
Got it.
The funny part was one of the guys. This is how ironic this is. One guy called the guy to come in to cover him because he had to go home. He had a problem with his house, right? So a friend came in to cover him for the few hours, and they would do this. If it was under 2 hours, it would be no paperwork. It was just like a barter system, right?
They had to do paperwork on a crash.
So this poor guy, he says to me, like, he goes, he left. I watched him leave out the car, leave the parking lot. The call came in. I got on, thinking it's routine, pick the baby up. He goes, before I know it, I'm upside down, I'm flipped over, and it's
Delivering a baby.
And he's not the one to drive because if he's coming in, so he's just got to be the attendant. The other guy's driving because the paperwork wise, right, has to line up. And he's like, here I get crushed, get cracked. I got him delivering a baby. I'm realizing they're gonna come and be like, I'm not supposed to be here, So it was funny that got kind of put on the table, but we all laughed at it. But it was ironic because I think fortunately, it was the right guy in the right spot. That's how God works, because the other guy probably would not have done so well.
Oh, man.
Delivering the kid.
Yeah, the right guy was at the right place.
And the baby came out, and someone comes, picks it up, and
Yeah, we brought another ambulance over there. She delivered it there.
Now, did they name him after the firefighter?
No, but they got the awards, and the woman would come to the firehouse, and they became, with the group of guys became friends with them.
That's awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, that's what's cool about
Have you ever had people that you dealt with come to your station and be friends with you
well, I mean,
as a cop?
well, actually, when I was coming at it my last day on the job on detectives, I had handled a sexual assault case on this lady, and she, young lady. She actually became friends with me and my wife, and she actually found out that it was my last day in detectives, and she brought like balloons, and she brought a thing that you turn, and, and it's a police officer, although I was sheriff's office, so I didn't get too mad, but it was a police officer, because they don't make nothing for sheriff's office. Almost everything they make
Says
is
police
for
on it,
police,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a police officer. He's kneeling down, holding there's a little girl with a teddy bear, and it's a musical box, and I still have it.
That's awesome.
But she brought that in on my last day.
Was it IED?
Yeah. So, but I'm from a smaller town, so a lot of people knew me, and so I didn't have any issues, So, what would you say? So I'm going to ask you two. We'll work on one. It's what is the best or worst thing about the job? So you can talk about either one first. The worst part of the job and the best thing about the job.
All right, well, that's a good question, I thought, man, because it's to me, I'm going to unpack it with two ways, like two views. Job, meaning like I thought, let's go with the worst part of it is always that, you see somebody's life situation change, be rearranged, if it be loss of life or member or just property or just, how a curveball got thrown to them, so. And you're there operating, and you can see that it makes you realize that, man, you feel blessed, that your family's fine, people you love are fine, and you're realizing nobody even knows this is happening at 2 a.m, that this person's life has changed and they got to figure out. So I always found that to be the worst case, and the worst case there is also when you have to actually talk to somebody and tell them that a family member passed. When they don't know, because if they were out or they were unconscious, and they quickly ask. Like one time I remember this gentleman, like he came to and he was just like, where's my wife? And and everybody's just like stuck on like, did we tell him she passed?
So they don't have law enforcement. So back in our county, the sheriff's office, we would have to be the ones that tell anyone that there's someone that passed. So you guys would do that if needed.
Well,
before the police come.
Yeah, because by us, when we get to fire scene, fire's going to control it. Police are here for crowd control. So there's going to be moments where like you have that one-on-one with that person who is pleading you, looking at you, and asking you. And the fact that you don't say that, you don't tell them, but the fact that you're not saying it where they're at, they draw up their conclusion, So I always found that to be the most, you leave, seeing a person, and just people's voices in my head still, will always carry on that, when you see that their heart was broken of something they lost or a person, and it never goes away, like you can almost hit a button and you can hear it, So that was always to me the worst part. And the worst part, going to our before question, to me as an individual, is like the job requires so much of you that the line could get blurred, in the sense of family and keeping things in order, because it's a lot to juggle. So those, in my experience, police and fire jobs, even the medical world in that ER place, they tend to have their own humor, their own conversation, their own unity, and they kind of start like insulating themselves, and sometimes even away from your family. So I found that to be how I was going in my life, in my marriage, and I realized, wow, man, I've put so much in this. It becomes your identity, and it's hard to separate, especially when you enjoy what you're doing.
I think that's what's hard about retiring. For cops, I don't know what the numbers are for firefighters, but for cops, usually 3 years they pass.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because of that adrenaline, they're always going and doing something. So I think that's why a lot of people try to stay doing something in the field, just so they feel, or they make it so much. I don't want to say that it's my identity, but I kind of feel like, everyone that knows me knows I'm a cop, and I'm, and so without that, I don't know, you don't know, oh man, will I still be somebody or whatever?
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to just badge people or whatever. So I don't look. I went straight to, I took 6 weeks off and was already working again. So we'll see when I retire the second time. But then what was
that's the best part.
The best part for you.
I think best
The
part.
money. Be honest.
No, that's individual.
The benefits.
If I split the job wise, like, let's be real, like look what are we doing here? It's guys who worked in some sort of emergency. We're all in the same group, right? I mean, like the fact of you gain the people that you meet some people like-minded that become friends beyond your time on the job that you probably would have never. You get to know them more in a deeper sense than you ever, So the job and that familyness, because it was. I mean, the job. We 3 meals together. We ate. We had a shop. We had to figure out problems. When guys got into pickles. I mean, I had guys who were great, who doing great in the job now. But when they were with me, they were young and they were dumb. And they did some stupid things that you had to take care of. So that whole process was really cool. And I always thought was cool is that I learned that fighting fires. I mean, different. The tactics, strategy, and tactics of fighting fires, how to do it and how to apply it, have been the same. And the only thing that changes is the personnel. So I was just like, wow, man, that means we have to just keep passing it forward. And, it was passed to me. And I always thought that was kind of cool. And being paramilitary, it honestly, I met up with some old military buds that we went to Army with a while back. And going to what you're saying, and they were asking, why'd you leave? And, in our conversation, basically 20 years we were kind of playing catch up. And I realized fighting fires to me was as close as it came to actually the adrenaline of combat. Like everything mattered. Everything counted. Everything was important. So, and it had to be team. You weren't thinking about why I'm here. I'm just going to protect my buddy. So it was perfectly good for me. I thrived in it. And I was able to use what I've learned in the military and convert it into fire. Rather than the enemy being some enemy I had learned about. Fire was my enemy, and I had to learn about it. And so it became cool in that way. And then when I learned about in fire, when I got into the books, it really did, the science behind it really opened me up in a sense of learning, not just to learn and to do on an exam, but seeing how like fire by itself. Me and him had a conversation, and I kind of explained some things to him, and he was like, "Wow, I would have never known." I'm like, "I didn't even know that either." You know, it's funny. It's something that we all use. It's always around us. It's our friend and our foe.
Right.
You know, but and one of my first fires, I remember this is funny because I'll tell you. Well, I'll save that for afterwards. But it taught me a lot in one event. But another part I love about the job was that I remember when I was young, I wanted to go in the military because I wanted to retire after 25. I knew 20 years and out, you can leave, right? I didn't know about the numbers. I didn't know if they added up. But the fact that 20 years, you can leave and do something else. And so when I joined the military, and then the fire service came, and I got to my time, I was stuck on like, do I go, man? I got, it's, and my wife was already in my ear, and so I talked to my young son, the youngest one, and I explained to him like, well, I could leave, and he was just like, he basically asked me, he's like, hold on, you mean you could leave, and they'll pay you? He was like, pay you how much? And I'm like, basically what I'm getting paid now.
$10,000 a month.
He's like, basically what I'm getting now, kind of, I ain't paying dues and all that.
Right.
And he was just like, looked at me like, what's to think about? He was like this is a no-brainer. And I looked at his eyes. I'm like, that's what I wanted. I needed to hear that from you to remember. That's the goal, to get out of here and
In one piece.
Well, you know what?
What was your age when you retired?
49.
Oh man, I retired
50.
the first time at 47.
50. And how old were you, Jerry?
50.
See?
No, 51.
51.
But
He was in the service too.
Getting out of the job, getting out at 50 that's unheard of these days, right? I mean, it's a.
I don't want to hear it. You got out of 49, dude.
Well, it's 49 and a half. I mean, but
No, there's a difference between 49 and 50.
Wow.
And him.
Were you
what
able-
is it? 62?
I feel like it's gotta be that. Were you able to do? We're gonna get to story time, but doing the 1 day on, 3 days off. Were you able to do church or anything? Do they allow you to go to church? What's that like?
You know what?
Can you go in uniform while you're working, or?
Certain captains would allow you to go, and if it was important to you, you could put in for it. If it was local-wise, church-wise. But for the most part, like I was always a Christian. Like I always professed my Christianity and my faith to God, and you know what? It's why I bring that up because one of my guys who we became really good friends, he became the chief of department now. Shortly after I left, we worked together, and I bring him up because we started going to church. He was a Catholic, and
What's that thing? The thing for the Catholic? What's recovering Catholic?
Yeah, he basically was. We get talking work-wise, and it's funny you bring that up because when we got talking about church and his understanding, and by sitting in the firehouse, we would have church. We'd put it on Sundays. It'd be on television, and guys could sit back and they could sit there, and if you listened or you didn't listen, but that became our thing. So, church, we would make church happen in the firehouse, and we would sit by the table and just, basically converse about the stories of our beliefs and just not really question people, but just letting people speak about what they think they understand or their position. But the job, that would be like almost like guys would call in a favor, come in, I want to cover, but certain captains would let guys if they were in town.
Yeah. All right. So, end of the podcast. First of all, thank you for coming on. I know you're here with your wife, and you could have did a bunch of other things, so I appreciate.
Wait, no story time?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
No, I'm just wanting to thank him first before he does story time, because then Jerry will shut it off after story time. So, no, I just want to thank you for coming on. Thank Domingo for asking you, and so yeah, another good story.
No, you know what? First of all, I want to thank you guys. I think it's super cool that we got. I was telling you earlier, man. The fact that technology has put us into a place that, the world's become a little smaller, that we can get conversations like this or meet different people from different parts of the country and be able to air out and have this conversation or even talk like this. I think it's just, I mean, who would have thunk it 10 years, 15 years ago, right?
Are you on social media? Because he's not.
Oh, yeah, I'm on social media.
Okay, we'll become friends. I'll share it with you, and you can share it with all
You
your
can share it
friends.
with me. Send it to me.
All right,
When he
so
talks smack about me, send it to me.
another story then.
Here's a, we'll go. This is
Do you
one
have a story about him?
No.
That would be
I would
be
have
great.
to cover it with him
The
first.
statute
before
of
I-
limitations is not up yet.
If you had one of him, that would be.
If when I come back to the West Coast, for a little follow up, I'll definitely.
Okay,
Let me vet what story he wants to use.
All right, one without him.
Here's one he might remember. I think we're first time we're in the military. We're doing our
Oh, it's a
first
military one?
Yeah.
All right.
We're doing our first what they call field problems, basically operating in, and we just got to Fort Drum, and we're out in the wood line, and of course the older guys, when you're new, they call you cherries, and you're a new guy, you're a cherry, and so me and him, about 10, 15 cherries, filling in this company because it was like
From that same cohort.
right. So we're going in the woods, and we had a couple guys been in there for a while, and they're gonna have fun with us because they know we don't know what we're doing, just same job wise. So they put us in the perimeter, and we have the PVS 4s, PVS 7s,
Yeah.
PVS 4s, PVS
No,
7s,
fours are
PVS
those,
4s. They were those mounting ones you put on your helmet when you drop them down.
Night vision.
Night
Night
vision
vision, yeah.
goggles. So of course, all the cherries like myself, you got the worst shift of fire watch at nighttime because you had to cover the perimeter. So you got that, 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 1 to the rest of the morning. So that night, the one of the senior dude, a guy named Lamb, he was like, "Listen, kid, don't sleep with your sleep with your boots on, because these raccoons will eat your toes." And I'm like, "Get out of here, busting my chops." I'm thinking I'm not putting my dirty boots into my sleeping bag, right? So before I know it, we crash out, and he wakes me up. It feels like, it felt like 5 minutes. I woke up, "Hey kid, it's your turn." I think he's busting my chops. Like, "Nah, I just fell asleep." He's like, "No, it's your turn." He wasn't playing. He was letting me know, "Get up." So I get up, and I grab the stuff, and and I'm gonna be lazy. I'm gonna try to do this from my sleeping bag, right? I'm not gonna get up and walk around. I'm thinking, so I get up and I grab my PVS 4s and I drop down, and it takes a second because it goes like yee, like a sound, and before you know it hits the moonlight, and all I see is eyeballs everywhere looking at me, right? And before we started, they had told us guys with other military platoons would get in. If they could take your stuff, they would definitely do it, and then you'd feel it the next day. So you had to be guard. So I see all these eyeballs looking at me, and I quickly lifted them up, and I see it's dark, and I put them back down. They're everywhere, up, down. I'm like, "What is that?" And it felt like that. You ever seen that cartoon with Daffy Duck looks into the wood line or woods, and you just see eyeballs?
Yeah.
That's what it brought to me. So I wake up the guy. I go, "Yo," I said, "Bro, there's eyes out here looking at us." He was like, "Oh, they're trying to get in." He goes, "You're gonna have to low crawl, and low crawl means you have to get on scratch your belly on the ground, wake up the platoon sergeant, and let them know people are trying to invade our perimeter." So now I gotta put my boots on, right? And I scratch my way to the middle of this perimeter. It's a good size, and I wake up this guy, and this guy was right at the movie. Sergeant Mitta was
Hardcore.
Oh, he was something else. And he's from Boston, and but he was a hardcore hooah with me kind of guy. And when I woke him up, and I really didn't want to wake him up, but when I woke him up to tell him that we got people in the perimeter, he turned around and said, "Who is this freak? Why is this freaking cherry waking me up?" And then he goes into a rant and telling me, "You think we're the only ones out in the woodline, you idiot? There's animals out here. They were raccoons. They were all raccoons. And the raccoons would follow us looking to eat off whatever we leave behind. And they would track us, but I didn't know that. I'm a new guy. I never been in the woods that way." So when he does that, everybody wakes up, because now everybody's hearing him yelling at this guy, and I get up, and now I gotta walk back to my little deal, and the Lamb is peeing in his pants. He's like, "I can't believe you low crawled and woke up Sergeant Mitta." He goes, "Don't you think?" And he started goofing on me. So I always found that like sometimes when you're in a new area, sometimes it's best to be quiet, and thought to be stupid, then open your mouth up and prove it.
So did you actually look to see if they were animals?
No, they were.
Or you just went back and believed them?
Well, yeah, because at that point, I mean, they weren't. I was more thinking we were soldiers trying to get in.
Right.
Once he told me the raccoons, I got worried about my toes. Put my boots back on.
Oh, man. Well, again, thanks for coming on, and hope you enjoy Vegas. And I'll have to talk more about this RV and life. And but thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. And again, hit the like, share, subscribe. I think we got up to like 29 subscribers.
So him and his wife subscribe now, so we should be past 30.
Okay. So, but anyhow,
We're working it. We're working that. You guys should get that number.
Yeah, if he was a deputy chief, he should get us a few more guys. So.
He's gonna get us all the Patterson Pete.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a few, man. I'm gonna get the Christians out there. Like, all right,
And his family.
But again, well, Easter's already over. Sorry, I said it on the last podcast. But
Yep.
okay. Well, anyhow, peace out, and see you next time.
See you next week. Have a good week.